Jason, I love a good, like, weird indoor entertainment facility.
I don't know that I knew that specific detail about you, but yeah, I mean, sure. Cool. Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, an arcade or like a mini golf or like Top Golf or, weird, like an escape room, right? That kind of, I don't know what you describe it as. Like, it's kind of just like I don't know, an entertainment center or something.
It's like a bar or a hangout centered around an activity. Is that what you kind of like?
Activity-driven hangout space. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I like that. That's a good
I would agree with that.
description.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I visited you and we went to a place like that around your place. Like, we went to an arcade bar place thing. I guess they call those barcades. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the bars you walk into, and there's there's like the ring toss and the arcade and the pinball and the bowling and but it's it's a bar. You just have things to do because oftentimes, it's you want more than just to stand around.
Exactly. So I experienced a new concept of one of these recently, which I thought was pretty interesting because it's like the Top Golf version of mini golf, and it's indoor.
I have seen one of these before in a video, but I've never experienced them in person.
Yeah, so the place is called Putt Shack, and it's like a franchise, so they have them all over the place. So I guess you could look at their website and see if there's one near you. But like it's a bar, but it's mini golf inside, and they have several mini golf courses, and they're only half courses, so they're 9 holes. But every single hole has like a gimmick, but more than a typical mini golf gimmick, I guess I'll say. And the bigger point is that it is digitally tracking the ball, kind of, and like keeping score for you. So nobody has to have a little pencil and a little piece of paper to keep track of the score.
And it's not this, like, your score is not the number of strokes, right? Like, it's more like the number of strokes is a component of your score, but it's not the only component of your score. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So it actually keeps track of score in points, and you get like, I don't know, 50 points for a hole in 1 and 40 points for 2 and 30 points for 3. But it goes all the way down to 10 strokes, I think. So like normally they say like stop after 6 strokes or whatever. But this one, it's more points driven, and you want the high score instead of the low score. And they can also do things like there's like, if you think about typical mini golf, they usually have, like that thing where you hit it a long way and into like a slightly difficult hole that then will basically drop the ball into the cup right at the end. Like it goes through the little tube and drops it like basically straight in. So you're guaranteed a hole in 1 if you get that. They'll do that. But then if you go off the edge and miss that, they'll put like a minus 10 points thing in it. So it's actually got like stakes. So like you're trying to hit it all the way down to the I don't know, super hole or whatever. But then if you miss it, it takes away points.
I see. So there's a gamble to going for the instant hole-in-one that are higher than...
Exactly. And the gamble's not just, it's farther away, like, more strokes. It's actually like minus points.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, how do I say this nicely? I feel that putt-putt certainly does need some things to keep it interesting. I'm not a huge putt-putt fan. It's fine. It's a fun activity every now and then. I think you are a much bigger kind of putt-putt fan than I am. I would certainly be willing to try this because of the extra little gimmicks. But I don't know that this would be something that I would go to repeatedly.
It's definitely not the kind of thing, and especially because of the way that it's priced. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that you can go every week. I mean, and you wouldn't anyway. But like, it is a cool place where you're like, hey, I want a place to hang out with my work friends, or like, people are in town, or, it's not the kind of thing you go to often. It's the kind of thing you go to as an event, like, kind of. And it follows in the same, same kind of thing that like Dave & Buster's is trying to do, where it's like adult Chuck E. Cheese. Like, it's, you can get food there, you can get drinks there, you can get drinks delivered to you on the mini golf course.
You just like say what hole you're on or whatever.
Yeah, they have like they have like a code or something so that they know which party you're in. And then, because it's tracking you all the way around. So, like, you never push a button. You just put your ball on the starting point of a hole, and it has a little chip in the ball, and it knows who you are because you register when you get the ball. And so, like, they're special balls. And so it knows who you are and which person is playing, so it doesn't matter what order you play in and all that kind of stuff. But then they know kind of where you are along the way, and also it's a mini golf, right? It's a 9-hole mini golf course. If it's in the size of like one floor of a house, not even like it's very very small, like comparatively.
How many courses did they have?
They had 3 courses in one facility.
Okay, and when you went, did you play all 3?
No, we played one. But one of the holes, actually, they had a thing where it was like a big spin the wheel kind of a thing. And it would like be spinning and you'd hit your first putt into like a guaranteed thing to stop the wheel. And then the next thing was like, okay, now get a hole in one and you get the prize that the wheel stopped on. So one of the prizes was a free game for one person in your party.
Oh, okay.
So we actually had one person in our party win the free game, except that we weren't like, it was only for them and we weren't really going to stay because there was kind of a wait. Like it was also kind of tricky because you had to like register and like they put your name on like a little digital wait list.
I was going to ask if there were people there. If it was busy.
It was hopping. There was actually quite a few people there, and we didn't realize that we could have or should have pre-booked. But instead, we just got some food while we waited for our mini golf time to come up. The food was fine.
Was the food surprisingly good?
No, it was fine. We had some flatbreads, and it was
okay.
Acceptable.
That's a reference, Chris. Do you know what that's a reference to?
Gosh,
the show you can no longer watch. God, I can't. Players. Remember they go to the Dave & Buster's and they say the food was surprisingly good?
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is
that's a deep reference.
That show. I missed that show.
It's gone. You can't watch it anymore.
That is so sad. Wow. This streaming era, and subscription-based entertainment. Oof.
Anyway, yeah. Food surprisingly good. So I guess putt check. Food surprisingly average. Got it.
Food is fine. I mean, it was good enough. It didn't really stick out. Like it was, I wouldn't go there to eat food, but it was, it was fine. So anyway, so that was just a unique experience, where it was really fun. And I'm pretty sure I won in our group anyway. So that also maybe added to my enjoyment of the experience.
There it is.
So anyway, if you're ever in a place and you see a putt shack as a opportunity for a group event, it's pretty fun.
All right. I'll try it.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. My name is Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 133.
I wanted to start with just a little bit of follow-up here. We talked a few episodes ago about this, the casino Balatro-like games. And one of them, Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, has actually come out like yesterday as we're taping here. And I have already purchased it.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this demo and I played it a bunch. And so when I saw this was available, I definitely jumped on it. I'm sure it's going to come to Humble next month or something, and I'm going to be sad, but that's okay.
Maybe not that quickly.
It's fine. But they had a bundle. Right now they're doing a Yogscast, or somebody's doing a thing for tiny teams, so like small developer teams games. And this one is on it, and it's also being launched. And they made a little bundle of the Not a Real Casino was the title of the bundle for Balatro, Luck Be a Landlord, and Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. So I bought that bundle to get a bigger discount on the game.
Did you have Luck Be a Landlord already?
Yeah, I bought it during the Steam Summer Sale for like $1. So
you bought a bundle where you had 2 of the 3 games already, and that just gave you an extra little bit off, right?
Correct. Yeah, the way that Steam, it's really nice. The way that Steam does bundles is if you already have, like, the bundle basically creates a percentage off of all of the things inside of it. And if you already have pieces of that, they like prorate the cost of the bundle for what you already have. So I got, I don't know, probably $1 extra off of the Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. That needs a better name. I got it like another $1 off of it because I already had these other 2 games.
Yeah, that's cool. So it came out to like $12 or so.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that.
So how much time have you put into it already?
About an hour and a half, maybe an hour.
Okay. It's a good game.
Yeah, it is. It's better. Like the full game is bigger, obviously, than the demo was, and they lock you down to like starting on like a very linear path, kind of like where the demo was a little bit more. You could choose whatever difficulty. I think they're making you play like the easiest difficulty first, and then ramping up in the real game. But there are a ton more cards than there were in the demo, as you might expect.
Okay. Okay.
So that's been kind of cool, and lots of different opponent types and some extra little like events and stuff. So like it's bigger than the demo was.
That's interesting because I did see playing the demo, even for the short period I did. I think I played for a half hour or so. You start to see a little repetitiveness, and that's good to know that the larger game is, or the full game is larger, not just in cards, but also like the things you experience and the wider array of stuff. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little larger. It's not like much larger, but
I mean, it's still a roguelike.
Exactly, it is. Yeah, and I'm in the middle of my first run still, so there's still some time to go before I see kind of what's going on. But the keyboard commands on that, or the keyboard shortcuts or whatever keyboard interface, is also a pro tip, because you can just press the space bar to hit your next blackjack card, and then you can press enter to stand whenever you're ready. So like you could play the whole thing pretty easily without having to like click around a bunch.
That's nice.
So anyway, I just wanted to mention that's out and it's kind of fun. And at least I think until basically the day the show publishes, it's on sale. So.
And you have or have not played it on Steam Deck yet?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Because it'd be a good Steam Deck game.
It would be a good Steam Deck game. That's a good point. I'm going to have to try that.
That's a laying in bed, like right before you fall asleep kind of Steam Deck game. Kind of like Balatro is to me.
Yeah, well, that, and it's also a like good, you can stop in the middle of a run and it saves.
Yeah.
Like, so kind of like Balatro, where it just like, you don't have to finish the run. And that was my thing, was like, I just have to finish this one like encounter or battle or whatever you want to say. And then I can just put this down and then come back to it later, which is why I'm still in my first like run. I think I'm bad at it because I have too many cards in my deck now. I have like way too many cards in my deck. So I need to like get a little bit more selective about when I take cards after a round or not.
Okay. Interesting. I think that happens in Balatro too, for sure.
Yeah. The choices. You just kind of, and that's the learning part of the roguelike. Like you learn what the right strategy is to do stuff. But you asked if I played on my Steam Deck. I've played my Steam Deck a lot lately, but I didn't play this on the Steam Deck because it wasn't out yet.
Okay. You have a lot of, I mean, like, your evaluation of games is almost entirely centered around, like, is it AAA and, like, a big game for us in our group of friends, or can I play it on the Steam Deck? That's, like, your evaluation process, I feel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's something that I can't easily play on the Steam Deck, it loses, like, half of its points for me. Like, I want games that I can play on the Steam Deck, and I got to be able to play it on the go.
So what's the most recent? If Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers is not, what is?
Yeah, so I was recently on a trip for about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. And so I had my Steam Deck in offline mode that whole time. So I actually used the thing where you tell it, like, don't even bother trying to find Wi-Fi. Like, you're just offline. And during that, I was playing a new game, or not really that new, but about a year-old game called Minishoot Adventures. Minishoot apostrophe Adventures, if you want to be technical. I don't know why, but they have like this little single quote that's part of the name, which is really weird. But it is super fun.
Yeah, the apostrophe really throws me off. No, I watched so I didn't know anything about this. I watched the trailer right before the show, and I have really kind of two things to say about it. One, does look really fun. It actually, I like the art style. I like hopefully the music is representative of it. But looks really fun. And two, does not look like a game I would peg you to play. Like, this does not look, to me, traditionally like a Chris game.
That's a fair point. I mean, it does not typically look like a game I would like, but it is a twin stick Zelda-like is what I would describe it as. Like, it's a twin stick shooter, which I do like. I like that genre. Like Geometry Wars way back in the day. Like I played a lot of Geometry Wars. But it's a twin stick shooter, but with like I don't know what the genre is described as, but like the power-ups, and like it's sort of Metroidvania, but not really, but it's Zelda-like in that you get like dungeons and items and power-ups and skills, and it's very like progressive in the way that it like reveals to you the like the things that you can do, and like you get your powers back and that kind of thing. Really fun game, and I played it entirely offline where I couldn't look anything up.
Oh, okay.
So I actually played and beat the entire game, and it was my primary Steam Deck game when I was on this trip, and it was super fun.
I'm very tempted to this because I like this seems like a really fun twin stick kind of Steam Deck game. And I like that it's not a roguelike. You and I go very hard into roguelikes a lot. And I like that it's not. I like that it's something a little bit different. I also, man, I know you didn't listen to the music while you were playing much, but the trailer had very, very like fun, like energetic kind of music that I tend to like. So I don't need another game right now, Chris. But this one looks like, I think this one's definitely going on my wish list. I
would highly recommend it. I mean, it feels like the kind of thing that might come to Humble at some point. I mean, I got it on the Steam on the summer sale, I think. But it was very, very fun. I think it took me a while to beat it. Like I said, I played it without any hints or help, which also says that, it's a very approachable. Like I 100%ed it. Like,
cool.
I beat the game entirely like offline. So it's very doable, I guess I'll say. Like if you like it, like you can just kind of like it leads you nicely from thing to thing. Like it gives you the tools and it lets you kind of keep going, and it's not, you don't feel stuck where you have to like look up stuff mostly. So that I will say is a good thing. One interesting thing I learned about the Steam Deck or Steam offline mode, Steam Deck, whatever, is when I finally did get home and went online, it gave me credit for all of the achievements that I got while I was offline, but you got all of those achievements and they were like, I was hoping that they would be dated to the times when I got them, like backdated to the times when I got them. But it didn't do that. Like it just put them all on the day that I turned the network back on and said as if I had beaten the entire game instantaneously.
Yeah, that's kind of, it's better than not earning the achievements at all, though.
It is. It's a little bit sad because I was like, oh, I kind of, because you get the progression of like, oh, you beat the first boss and then like 2 hours later you beat the next boss or whatever. But you don't get that. They all just show up on the same time.
Yeah.
But that's super minor. That's no big deal.
I think you mentioned, did you say that this came out last year? I'm looking at the release date, April 2nd, 2024.
Oh, okay.
I wonder if it was in early access at all, though. I can't see that.
I'm not sure. I may have been off on that. I mean, I first discovered it earlier this year, so it's possible that was what it was.
Also, overwhelmingly positive reviews. 3,000 reviews, 97%. I mean, other people agree that this game is worth me putting on my wish list, at least.
Absolutely. Yes. It's, I think I paid like $10 for it and it was totally worth it for the time that I got with it. And I can play it on a harder difficulty. Like I can go back and play it again on the hardest difficulty to get the last like 2 achievements. But I first discovered it from a friend who was streaming it, and it was super interesting, and then it was on sale, so I got it.
I don't know if you saw, but today, as we're recording, August 10th, they have, for this game, a Steam Deck update.
Yes, I saw that. I played it all without the Steam Deck thing, and the only thing it was that a lot of the text was tiny, but like it had full controller support anyway, so it means that it plays fine on the Steam Deck. Like,
yeah, just a little bit of the screen. That's a lot of when you're going through seeing if it's Steam Deck compatible or Steam Deck playable. That is like the really honestly often the only complaint is some of the text is too small to read.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of stock in the like, as long as it is technically playable on Steam Deck and it doesn't say like completely not supported, I will take that as good enough for Steam Deck for me typically, because it's nothing is ever like so tiny that you can't read it. For the most part, I don't think I've encountered anything quite that bad.
Yeah, I've never anything that says playable. It's never been that bad. Well, good. I'm glad you found this. This is an interesting one where it came out of nowhere. You kind of said, "Hey, I got this," and I didn't even know you had bought this before you left on your trip. And I'm glad to hear that it went really well. Did this push any other games from your trip like out of the rotation where you're just like, I'm playing this one. And you did you not get to anything else?
This was the thing I played most on the trip. I have this habit of like wanting to have a new small game for a Steam Deck or Switch when I go on a trip, like to take with me, because it's like a good focused, like I'm not going to play, an MMO, and I'm not going to like, play some game with people because I'm going to be traveling. So I like to have kind of at least one new kind of game. And I only bought this one, I think. I guess I got Luck Be a Landlord for, again, $1. I didn't play any of that on my trip, or maybe one game of it. I'd say the thing that this displaced for the most part was Hades 2, which I then went to play after I beat this. After I beat Minishoot, I went back to Hades 2 and played some more of that, which is still great, by the way. Just throwing it out there. They keep making little patches, and they're, I think, about to release their first like big content update patch here in the next like few weeks. So, join the club. But I'm not going to have time to play it. So I don't know why I'm even talking about it.
You'll have time eventually.
Exactly. Someday. But that remains a very good like pick up and play game, Hades 2. And they've made it a bunch easier. It's early access, so they're tuning it. Like they've tuned it to make it easier since I first played and beat it.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, cool.
So yeah, they're like, oh, to make the final boss more fair. I'm like, well, back in my day, 2 months ago, I beat it without all of these quality of life changes.
Well, when you aren't playing those little mini games on your trips on the Steam Deck, you and I are very clearly playing World of Warcraft. I resubbed. I don't know. I forget the last time we recorded, Chris, but
it was a while ago.
I think it was a while ago. I resubbed on the day of the pre-patch.
Oh, okay.
As I said I was going to, and was not able to play the day of the pre-patch because the servers were down until well past midnight Eastern time.
Wow. Oof. I guess I didn't miss much.
It was a whole day down, and they did anyone that had subscribed on that day or was subscribed on that day, they gave a free day of subscription too. So I essentially got that subscription day back. I assumed like, hey, okay, servers are down. It's like 4 p.m. They say they'll be down until 7. Like, okay, and I was wrong. They just kept pushing it, and eventually I was like, I gotta go to bed. So didn't get to play on that first day, but I did get to play the following day. And they did give me that day free. So, it was a little bit much on that first day.
Yeah, that's.
But I've been playing ever since. Like I've been playing pretty consistently ever since that first day. That first week, the pre-patch event wasn't out, so I played a lot of Mists and leveled some characters in Mists. Mist of Pandaria Remix, Mop Remix, whatever. I call it Mists. I don't know, whatever. And once the event came out, I've been playing that pretty consistently. Like I've been into this. It's been my go-to game for I don't know, 2 weeks now.
Yeah, at one point you sent me a screenshot with no context, which was a screenshot of the character list in WoW, and it showed a whole bunch of Jason named characters with level 70 next to them, which implied that like in the old days you would have spent about 9 million hours leveling characters, but it doesn't seem like that's been the case since you've been able to do it in like 2 weeks.
No. So prior to the pre-patch, I think I had 2 max level characters, 2 level 70 characters. I had a couple like in between 60 and 70, but the 60 to 70 grind was just too long for me. Like it was just too much.
You mean the content of the current expansion where you play the story and like do the stuff?
Yeah, but you like have to do it over and over again, and like it was just a lot, and I didn't really want to do it, and I didn't. It wasn't for characters that I knew I was going to want to play.
That makes it less worth it. And
it was just too much for things that I wasn't sure I was going to invest more time. After the pre-patch, like we talked about on a previous episode, they cut the XP requirement significantly from 60 to 70. They also cut it from 10 to 70, like all the way. But they on like a percentage scale, cut it more than in half from 60 to 70. So it was much, much faster to get from 60 to 70. So anything level 60 and above, I was like, okay, well, now's the time. I'll just finish it off. And the pre-patch event, the Radiant Echoes event, Radiant Memories, I don't know, so one of those.
Radiant Echoes, I think.
Yeah, is extremely good from an XP farm perspective in terms of leveling. Now that the experience requirement is cut, and that event was up, it was so fast to get from anything in 60s to 70. So I did that for anything that I had. I think it was Paladin. I had an Evoker. I had some other. I think those were the 2 that I had between 60 and 70. And then I was like, well, I should just keep going. And I did. I had like a level 40 monk, and I was like, all right, well, that's going to be level 70. And I had like a level. I boosted a mage with a token to level 50 and like 50 to 70 really fast. Like I just kept going because it was so fast, and I was kind of I was enjoying experiencing a lot of different like classes in just very quickly and making a lot of progress really quickly. So I just kept going. And eventually I was like, oh, well, everything I see right now is max level, so I should probably take that screenshot and send it to Chris.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean, good for you. Like, that's really cool. But I was very surprised when I saw that. I was like, wow, he wasn't kidding. The leveling is way faster. And that's really cool.
What I did probably previously would have taken more than 50 hours.
Wow.
Just as a guess, right? The amount of like just the number of characters, because not to mention like the week before, right? I was doing Mists of Pandaria remix and I leveled 2 characters from 0 to 70 in Mists of Pandaria remix that week. And like that, all of that combined, all of those characters from 0 to 70 and a couple from like mid to 70, probably 50 hours it would have taken prior to pre-patch. After pre-patch, I think I've put maybe 15 to 20 hours into WoW, so less than half of the time.
Wow. Yeah. I played, I had a couple of things that were in that kind of no man's land of 60 to 70, and I got them up to 70, and then I had another character, a priest, that I picked up from level 22, I think, and literally as we record, within the last 12 hours or 16 hours, I have leveled that to 70, and that was mostly sleeping. So I played for probably 2.5 to 3 hours with that one. Very easy to level. It takes like, I don't know, 4 minutes per level or something like that. I mean, it's very, very fast if you're doing the pre-patch event, which is really cool. I mean, it's actually really nice. They do this all the time where they give some amount of catch up before a major expansion, just to make sure that you can like get your characters up to max level if you want to, so that you can jump right into whatever character you want to play. But I don't feel like it's usually this drastic.
No, I mean, I've been listening to some YouTubers that are kind of running numbers and they're speed running or whatever. And they said they'd never seen a pre-patch event be this fast. Typically, it is faster during pre-patch, and they do something, but they've never seen it be this fast. Blizzard is going all in on alts. I mean, it's been very clear that like that's the direction with warbands and account-wide progression, and they want you to have more max level characters. I think Guild Wars does this really well, right? The game. We always say it. The game starts when you get to max level, right? Because that's where all of the content is built around, right? They build the campaign, they build the story, but like the weekly updates, the weekly grind, the everything revolves around being at max level. And I think they're trying to make it a lot easier to get to max level. The thing that I've really liked about this pre-patch that, I mean, again, this is the first one I've truly experienced. You say there's always kind of a catch-up mechanic. I wonder how, or maybe you can comment on if this one is different, in that when I'm leveling a character like this, I'm also earning a currency that, for this event, that by the time I get to 70, I can fully gear that character with relevant gear. Like I can, you're earning this currency as you work up to 70. Once you get to 70, you spend that currency and you're like, okay, well, I'm not in the best gear possible, but I'm in gear that's current to Dragonflight Season 4, right? At the end of like what everyone would be in generally if they were, starting Dragonflight Season 4, which I think is really nice, because a lot of times you level this alt, you level, and then you get to max level and you're just like, I barely have gear good enough to do normal dungeons. But I did a warlock, right? I leveled a warlock and I was like item level 120, 130 as I was leveling, which is like extremely low, right? And then I got to 70 and I spent my currency and I am immediately item level 480, which is relevant, kind of right in the lower middle level of gear for this, for this season of Dragonflight, which it's just been really nice to double up on that progress.
Yeah, typically they give some XP boost. Usually it's like a 200%, it's like double XP kind of a thing for like the term of the pre-patch, which is not nearly what they're doing right now. But then they do have this catch-up gear. And I don't know if you remember the time between Dragonflight Season 1 and 2 when they opened up those... do you remember that place? It was the place with like the keys and like it was like a dungeon kind of, but not really. It was like a puzzle box dungeon, whatever.
On that little island up there.
Yeah, on that island, exactly. It has names and I'm really bad at keeping up with lore, but it was that thing, and it dropped tokens, right? It dropped gear that you could like run those little like trains of people. They could run around those little those NPCs and like PvE it, and then you'd get those tokens, and they were item level 385 gear or whatever, which was, you know, equivalent to Raid Finder-ish gear or something like that for the new season.
Yeah, it was relevant for the time.
Yeah, so it was good. This was pre Dungeon Script and all. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The numbers are irrelevant. But the idea was that if you had alts that you hadn't played during that first season, you could go do this event and you could get stuff that you could mail to them and bring them up to date, basically. So this is similar to that, I think, although the currency thing, to your point, where you earn a single currency and you can spend the single currency to get stuff that's relevant is newer. I don't know. Maybe they've done it before and I just wasn't paying attention, but that is there. So yeah, this is a little bit different, but it's similar.
I like this better than the token because the tokens were specific to each piece, right? So you could be grinding for a long time. I need a helmet, or I need a chest, or whatever. Like, you needed specific stuff, and you could trade them with people. Like, you could say, "Hey, I have one of these. Do you have one of these?" And you could trade them, which was kind of a cool little community thing because it was a random drop, and everyone was looking for something. But I mean, this currency thing is just the quality of life on this is just like, okay, well, here I'm there, and I have 80,000 of this currency. I'm just gonna spend it. And if I don't have enough, here's the last piece of this, bringing warbands into it. If I don't have enough, or I have too much, like this warlock that I leveled, I had more than I needed to buy a full set for this warlock. So I could have either spent it on bags, which you talked about last episode, 32 slot bags for the warlock, which are relatively cheap in the grand scheme of things in terms of this currency. Or I can transfer it to another character because it's all warbound transferable, and I just transfer it to another character that needs gear, and then it has currency to buy the gear that it needs. So, I mean, it's just the quality of life on this in terms of like, just do what you enjoy and what you want, play the game, level your alts. Like, it's very, very chill.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, chill is the word. I think the way I think of it is it rewards you for time spent or effort invested without worrying too much about the RNG.
Yes.
And that is the like most important thing at this. We talked to this a little bit, but at this stage in my gaming life, I want to feel like I'm moving forward whenever I'm playing something. You
want your time to be respected, right? You always
exactly.
You always want to be productive in some way. And I you're right. Yes, this feels like that. I think Guild Wars does this really well too. And I think more and more games are getting to this point where they're saying, hey, like, everything you do should have some sort of reward or progress. And maybe it's not for your main, maybe it's not for like the one character you actually want, like, you're always playing. But with the encouragement of this alt playing, right? Play more characters, spend more time. There's also like a very clearly a bigger emphasis on comeback daily, right? Because now more things are daily warband wide or daily account wide. So that is something that they changed, right? With this pre-patch really early in the pre-patch event. It was these quests that you could do for bonus currency were weekly per character. And very quickly, they changed them to daily per account or daily per warband. So it's been encouraging me just to come back and play a little bit every day rather than try to, like, you know, blast it all out on all of my characters for a week. Which is, I don't know, it feels much more Guild Wars like, you know, daily login, you know, much more Warframe like daily login, daily things. And I'm into that. I'm into that because I feel like I'm making progress every day.
Yeah, I guess I worry a little bit about that. It maybe sets up the wrong incentive structure. I think it works for WoW right now because if I think about compared to Warframe and Guild Wars, the way that the rewards are tuned right now in World of Warcraft, and we'll have to see what happens once the expansion actually comes out. But like, you got to remember that for WoW, you're paying a subscription also, and for Guild Wars and Warframe, you're not. So. Right. Warframe especially, and some degree Guild Wars, but especially Warframe is very grindy. Like there's a lot of they basically just tune the levers right to be it takes more time to get this thing right. And that is a lever that they have. I would just worry that I don't want WoW to kind of go too far in that direction and say, yeah, of course it's going to take you 9 billion hours of grinding to get the currency to get the thing, right? Because then that's not fun either. So I think there's a balance that they need to keep as they're doing this.
I agree. I do think they have not shown those colors during this pre-event because the currency is extremely easy to get. More than, I mean, I'm not a very super dedicated WoW player. I am more of a casual player. I've been playing, maybe 2 hours every other day is generally maybe where it's landing. And I have more currency than I know what to do with from this pre-patch event, which is how it should be, right? I'm putting time into the game. It's encouraged me to play alts and it's encouraging me to play the game more because I feel very rewarded for it.
Well, and you got to remember that currency is going to be useless in 2 weeks, right? Like, you got to spend it and use it and get it done. So, like, they're not breaking the game with this particular change, right? It's not that bad.
Yes, and I will tell you, me being that person and the way that I spend currency in games and how stingy I am, it being gone in 2 weeks is making it very easy to spend.
Yeah, you're right, because it's going to be worth absolutely nothing in 2 weeks, and even if it's worth little now, but that's what it's there for. So I think you're using it right, and I'm glad that it's making the game more fun.
There were a few moments, I think yesterday as we were playing, where you were laughing at me. Because I had finished leveling my warlock, and I was essentially discovering another 1/3 of what this game is.
Oh my goodness! Yes,
yeah, it was pretty good. I had finally experienced a DPS role, which I had never played. Like I've always been a tank. I've always played a tank role, just in my time playing World of Warcraft. And I finally, I had a max level character. I had relevant gear. I finally was like, okay, I'm going to try out a warlock. I'm going to try out a warlock in dungeons, and I'm going to try a warlock out in open world with relevant, full level gear or high level ish gear. And let me just say, it's another part of the game. It's like. Mechanics are different, and you have to pay attention to stuff, and it's just there were a lot of cases where I didn't really understand what I was supposed to be doing because I had only ever experienced stuff as a tank, and it wasn't quite relevant as you were leveling, right? Because you're just focused on getting experience and staying alive and like getting a hit on the thing that you want to tag to get experience on. Like that's all that mattered. But once you were max level, you were like, okay, I can actually damage stuff now and kill stuff and like experience this game as a DPS role, and it's a whole different ball game. I genuinely feel like I've discovered another 1/3 of this game.
Yeah, it was actually amazing to listen to you talk about stuff where you're like, oh hey, yeah, I have to I hit stuff now, and like, oh, I see where the ramp comes from. I see where the building of the resources and spending the resources and all that stuff comes into play. And I was like, yeah, this is how this goes. Mm-hmm. And then one particularly funny moment was when you died because you were casting something and got hit by a spell. That made me laugh a lot.
Yeah. I don't normally experience that.
This is, that's a classic caster thing of the like, oh man, I've got, 0.7 seconds left on this cast, and that's really been there for only like, a half second. It'll be fine. And then you're dead.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. It's playing chicken with those swirlies on the ground.
But that was really fun for me to experience. And then you're talking about gear and how you bought all this gear with this currency, and then how it made such a difference. I was like, yeah, it makes a big difference when you're playing on the DPS side of the fence. Like
a huge difference. Like again, like you're paying attention to your damage numbers as a tank, but they're not the most important thing. The most important thing is staying alive and controlling aggro, right? DPS is secondary. And So like you're paying again, like you're seeing those numbers, but you're not paying attention to like how fast stuff dies is not your job.
Yes.
And as a DPS, I'm like, wow, stuff is dying fast. It is my job to kill stuff fast. Like it, man, it was, and the gear, like just like changed the game on how fast things were dying. One final funny moment that maybe I'll bring up. I was kind of discovering playing through dungeons. Chris and I did one of the new follower dungeons actually, which was really cool because it was
cool.
Me and Chris in there, and it just filled the rest of the team with NPCs who were great. I mean, they were normal level dungeons, so they were pretty easy. But at the same time, it was really nice pace to play the game, kind of learning. And we didn't feel like we were holding anyone up because they weren't real people. So that was cool. But after we were done with that, Chris was like, you should go experience like a higher level difficulty dungeon, like a heroic or whatever. So I did. I went on my own and I queued for it. And the weekly this week is to do 5 time walking heroic dungeons. And I queued for it. And I had a 17-minute queue as a DPS. And I immediately just started flaming. Like, how do people do this? What is this queue? I was like, why doesn't
what do I
everyone
do
play
while
tank?
I'm in this queue? I'm like, do other stuff.
What do you mean I have to wait 17 minutes? It's such a tank thing to say.
It really is. It really is. And I'm glad that you finally have discovered the pain that is playing DPS with pickup people, because that is my life, unless I'm playing with you on a tank.
I immediately wanted to log out and just queue as a tank.
You're like, I'm going to go to my tank. I was like, yeah, but that doesn't help you. Like, that's not the task you're trying to do right now.
I know.
You want the currency and the stuff on the new warlock, not on the tank.
Yeah. It was something I like, all of these things factually. Like, I know that the queues are longer for DPS. I know the gear matters for DPS. I know factually what it means to have a DPS ramp and how like your damage gets better per second over time the longer you're engaged and because you're building up resources and all that. But I never experienced all of it, and it's just such a weird thing to say about a video game that like you don't really know until you experience it. And it's just a very funny how true it is.
Well, welcome to the dark side of DPS. And I guess now one of us has to go try to do a healer, huh?
I'm not there yet.
No, I think it's going to be me. I just got the priest to level 70, so I may have to see what all of that entails.
Good luck with that.
I don't think priest is the best healer, but I think it might be the healer that I try because I have one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have one of everything here soon. I'm excited to have at least one of everything at level 70.
Yeah, I mean, now that you have warbands, like it's easy to just share stuff. You just send gold or anything in between all your characters. It's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about some of the quality of life stuff that was coming last episode, and now that it's here, warbands. This is actually something for you, Chris. I know you weren't here while this was happening because you were out of town. But warband banks launched with the pre-patch on July 23rd, I think it was. But they were unusable until the pre-patch event patch, like a week later, because every time you opened them, it said someone else was using your warbank, like one of your other characters was using your warbank. Which is not possible. Like, how's that possible? You can't be logged into 2 characters at the same time. So it was like bugged for a whole week. You could not use them.
Wow.
But anyway, they're fixed now. They're super nice. Like, anything you want, you put in there. There's a lot of gear now, at least with this pre-patch event, that is warband bound. And it says it very clearly on the item, warband bound on equip.
Until equipped.
And yeah, warband until equipped. So it's been really nice, like earning, like I was just doing these events, right? You're just kind of doing these events. And I was doing them on my warlock, who was already level 70, already had a full set of gear. And all of a sudden, there comes a mail helmet in my inventory because I had looted it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll transfer that over to another character that uses mail armor. And it's just really nice how that it's just so easy now. And I don't have to the thing is I don't have to mail it to anyone. And I think that's a huge quality of life improvement for me because it has a place to go. Mm-hmm. Like, I can go to my warbank and put it in the bank and let it sit there and not have to make the decision. I don't have to mail it to anyone. I don't have to let it sit in my Warlock's bank. I don't have to I can put it in kind of a holding place that any of my other characters can access. Which just sounds so normal to anyone that's played Guild Wars. Because the bank is a cross character, but now that it's in World of Warcraft, it makes a whole lot of sense and has made the experience of playing the game and looting stuff just a lot more fun for me.
Yeah, I want to organize my war bank. I want to because you can get tabs like a guild bank and you can name the tabs. So I want to organize everything as crafting materials and these professions and those I want to get into all of that and sit down and really do it. But it's a little daunting, the level of organization that I would like to implement and the level of organization that I feel like I have time to kind of put together at the moment. And everything's going to change because the new expansion makes everything else worthless. So
yeah. I will also caution you, warband tabs are really expensive.
I know. I saw that. I bought the first one for 1,000 gold and I was like, this isn't so bad. And then I saw the next one was 25,000 gold. I was like, okay, I can afford that. I think. I worry that the next one is 250.
Yeah.
That's almost all the gold I have.
That's pretty close to all the gold I have. Yeah. I'm really thinking about professions and gathering and do I actually get into them? And now that I have all these alts, do I spend some time on it? Is it worth it for gold making? I'm really starting to think about some of that. And it's really daunting, but I'm thinking I'm going to need to have some kind of gold generating income.
I know. I think I'm in the same boat. We have a friend a while ago that offered to talk about Trade Skill Master and how that all goes. And I tried to listen to him at one point and it was so complicated and I just didn't get it. So I'm nervous about trying to get into that kind of a thing, but maybe it's better now. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's not, but making stuff for raids seems doable. I don't know. Consumables, potions, whatever.
Yeah. I agree with that. Actually building or crafting for raids. I don't want to make World of Warcraft into a market manipulating job.
No, not at all.
I don't want to buy and sell. But I do think that maybe I want to engage with the professions more this expansion, because I did not engage with professions at all in Dragonflight. I was a skinner, I was skinning, but I didn't level it up. I didn't really do anything. I skinned something when it was dead in front of me and I could. That was about as much as I engaged with it. So I think I'm going to try to engage with it and pay a little bit more close attention to it this time.
Yeah, I've had a Herbalism Alchemist, which is a really great combination throughout all of last expansion, and that has been super handy because you get double flask length and you can make your own flasks, which is really nice. You don't have to buy them. So I've benefited from that, but I think there's a little bit more opportunity out there. For skinning, you could do skinning and leatherworking and you can build stuff for people, but I also hardly ever buy gear for myself, so I don't know really what the path to something even tailoring. I tend to play cloth characters, so tailoring and enchanting or something. I've done that before in the past, but it's I don't know what the economy is for that kind of thing, and I'm hoping that they are putting some effort into that. I
wonder how the economy or how gold making will be impacted by the NPC crafting orders, because now the NPCs place crafting orders that pay.
Oh.
But I don't know if it will be profit generating or if it'll just be a place for experience, right? Because you in a lot of cases you have to do crafting orders in order to level up your crafting. So I don't know if they're specifically for level up and experience or if they are actually a profit center. Can you actually make money from them? So that'll be interesting to see. And I think they're limited per day, right? So you would get 5 crafting orders that are from NPCs and they would pay a certain amount. And if each of them generated 100 gold or 200 gold, that'd be something I would do every day.
Yeah, sure. Get a little bit of stuff.
Yeah. I just need to pay for those flasks and potions for Mythic.
Just get an herbalist and alchemist and you can make them for your characters and mail them around.
Yeah, that's
put them in your war bank.
Put them in my war bank. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, perfect.
The other thing, they changed the map significantly. The overhead map, pretty significantly. Oh, you sound mad about that.
No, actually, I think the changes that I've seen, they've been relatively unobtrusive, so I haven't noticed. Except for they changed my quest icons, and I don't like that.
Tell me what quest icons changed that you don't like.
They changed the the blue question mark or blue exclamation point dailies icon to be a much chunkier or maybe the same chunkiness of question mark or exclamation point. However, they put these goofy little arrows on the sides of it to make it like a little circle with like a recycling circle, right? You know, like arrows that point at each other.
To make it super clear that it's repeatable?
Yeah, I know what they do, but like it looks not visually distinct enough. Like it makes them very blocky. It makes them very big, and I don't like I just don't like it. Maybe I just hate change, but I just don't like it.
I don't know. I'm not gonna say one way or another why you don't like it, but I like it. I think it's very clear what they are now. I think it's more clear for people that can't see color as well. I think it drives me to understand a little bit more that is clearly a repeatable quest. I know I knew it, but like it looking different to me, I don't know, has mattered.
I don't mind that they changed it. I just don't think what they did makes it look good. I think that the arrows themselves are like too big or something, or the little white halo kind of glow that they put onto them makes the whole thing look mushy. Like it just isn't. I don't mind that they changed it.
You
I
just
think
don't like the logo.
The aesthetic. Exactly. I think that the particular glyph or the particular picture that they chose to represent this is not what I would like. It's not up to my standards, I guess I'll say.
Okay.
I don't hate that they changed it. I think they did a poor job of this particular choice. I think they could choose a different thing and I could be happy. And maybe I'll just go find an add-on or something that messes with it if that's possible. But I just don't like it.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess I agree. I don't really care one way or another. I wouldn't mind as long as it looks visually distinct from a normal quest marker. I wish there's one kind of quality of life thing that I wish. I wish it was more clear on whether it was a daily or a weekly repeatable quest.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah, like if they had like a 1 or a 7 underneath it or something.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Or a 3. I think some things are like multi-week
every
reset.
couple days. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I want to know, okay, well, clearly this is repeatable, but like how often is it repeatable? Also, like I want them to say in game whether it's repeatable per character or if it's warband bound. Like why do I have to go to Wowhead to find that out?
I was imagining that they could put, like, as you started talking, I was like, oh yeah, they could change the icon to do that. They could change the icon to that. But now they're going to need like a grid of like little dots or something if you wanted to show that all in the picture. So maybe they should do that on mouse over or like in the quest text or something.
Or in the quest text. I'd be fine with that. Just like indicating, now it's getting more complicated, right? Because more things are account wide or character wide. Some things are 1 day, some things are 7 days, some very rarely, but sometimes things are 3 days. Those are mostly world quests. But I want more of that in game. I want them to show me that in game. But they did change a lot of quest icons. They put more more icons in the vanilla like base game map. Like they're Sherlocking a lot of add-ons in terms of like how your map works, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's good. I need to get into it a little bit and see if maybe I have some add-ons that could be retired, maybe, because fewer add-ons is just generally better for game performance. So that would be fine if that stuff is usable. I am always kind of wondering if I am close enough to being able to drop like LVUI, but I probably am not.
I will tell you, Chris, I started Mist of Pandaria Remix when I started playing, when I resubscribed in that very first day. I started totally blank, no add-ons. And I have been slowly re-adding add-ons that I wanted. I played Mop Remix without LVUI. I did add a couple more bars to my bar, and I added a couple sidebars. But I played Mop Remix on those two characters from 10 to 70 with no add-ons at all.
Wow.
I then went to live. I went to retail or regular servers, started playing the pre-patch event. I very quickly said, okay, I want LVUI back. So I spent a lot of time on LVUI back, but I've been enabling one add-on at a time. I've kind of been re-enabling one at a time. I think just yesterday, you and I were playing together, and I re-enabled details, the damage meter. So like everything was, I turned it all off when the patch started. A little bit because some of them were out of date and incompatible, but also because I said, you know what, I want to re-experience the that thing that you go through when you say, I want an add-on specifically for this. And then you go find it, you re-enable it or whatever. And that kind of reset was really nice, actually.
I may need to go through that. I mean, I don't have that many add-ons, I don't think, but I may need to go through and be a little bit choosy and make sure that I have the stuff that I really want. Because I want things to be, fast and efficient and light and performant, but I also want the information and I want the stuff that the stuff provides. Like I want nameplates. I want, bag helping stuff a little bit, like maybe, although I've seen that the bag interface is maybe a little bit better now. But then LVUI breaks that. So I don't know. I gotta take it down to the studs and kind of look at it a little bit.
Yep. It really does help.
So maybe that'll be my pre-expansion task. Cause we are quickly approaching the release of War Within.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say it, but this isn't a WoW podcast, but
but it's about to be.
It's about to be. Well, it can't be yet because Guild Wars 2 expansion, August 20th. Warframe story expansion or whatever you want to call it, August 21st. World of Warcraft expansion what do you call it? Early access. August 23rd. Train World Valley just came out yesterday. Like,
oh my gosh,
we're talking about all this stuff. All this stuff is coming out. But my primary game probably for a little bit will be World of Warcraft. However, that's not to say, Chris. Remember, the thing that comes out the 23rd is just the campaign.
Is it?
There's no raids,
right?
And the dungeons, the campaign and the dungeons. There's no raids. There's no Mythic Plus. There's no weekly grind. It's just getting to 70 and kind of experiencing some of the new stuff. So, I think I'll spend some time in it. But for the first week, maybe even longer, there's no weekly grind. Like I don't even know that the Great Vault is activated. So like we'll have time to get into it.
For sure. I'm not saying that that's the case necessarily, but like it's coming. And when the early access releases and you start being able to get up in levels, that's when you get like hero talent trees. That's when you get like the new profession materials and new profession unlocks and stuff. Like that's what I'm expecting to use it for, because to your point, season 1 doesn't actually start until September 10th. So it's 2 weeks before the actual like Mythic 0 dungeons even open. So it'll be by the end of September, everything will be kind of ramped up. That's when all the raid finder wings will be open and everything is by the end of September. But season 1 starts on September 10th.
I am so excited to get into it as it's starting. Last expansion, Dragonflight, I think I joined essentially when the last LFR wing was opening, like a month after release. Felt a little late, but like I could still catch up pretty fast. But I felt rushed in the campaign. I felt rushed in all of that. I'm hoping that because I'm joining earlier this time, I'm not just going to level 1 character. Maybe I'll level 2 because, again, like there's not much else to do, right? There are things you can experience and things to learn. There's time to learn and time to experience, rather than just rush right into it. So I'm very excited to be in, right at the beginning.
Yeah, my advice for that, just from my experience with a couple of expansions ago, is take your time and do what you want and don't get wrapped up too much in friends and trying to keep up with people, because you're going to have that one friend that's going to be, off work that day or, have way more time than you to put into it. And then you feel like you're way behind, but like just do your thing and like play as deep as you want. Cause like typically you can also, there's the main quest line and like with the little like shield looking quest markers. And then there's also the like local quests, I guess you could say, like in each little area that they drag you to. You could level most of like 70 to 80 grind in like 2 of the 4 new areas. Like you don't necessarily have to, you can go as deep as you want with them basically. And so then on your second character, you can be like, oh, well, I went really deep on the first area on the first time through, but I'm going to beeline through that one this time and then spend a lot of time in the second area or something like that. You can kind of mix it up a little bit, but my advice would be to kind of do it at the pace that is comfortable for you and choose to do extra quests if you're liking the kind of the mini stories, the local stories of the characters and stuff that are happening.
Right.
But I'm excited for you to see it at the beginning and see kind of how that goes for you. Now that you've, discovered the DPS lifestyle, you can have both the tank and the DPS experience.
Well, and that's a great point, Chris, is which character, now it's a choice. Which character do I experience the game on as essentially, and I'm not locked into this decision, but my first, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Demon Hunter still, just because I'm most familiar with it, but I don't know that I'm super tied to that. And that's a decision I have to make in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll see where you land.
If you have opinions on what I should play, because I will have every class at level 70 before the expansion comes out, share them, I guess. I will say this. I will experience the campaign first on a tank. I've already made that decision. But I don't know which one. But let us know if you're playing and all that good stuff. You can get in contact with us by joining our Discord, which you can get to at discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to find any of our older episodes where we've talked about all of this WoW stuff or anything else, or if you want to read our show notes, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, we would love if you could share it with some others that might enjoy it as well.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time. There was one other big thing that happened while I was gone that I kind of came back to, which was like 900 Kickstarter emails in my inbox about a new thing coming out.
That is also how I experienced this news. Yes,
exactly. I didn't even know this was a thing. You probably did. But, as people may know, I am a casual fan and Jason is a bigger fan of the Brandon Sanderson verse.
That's a good way to
and
put
all
it.
all of his things. I have read a bunch of the books. Jason owns all the books, but that puts some anchoring on this conversation. But they have come out with, or are coming out with, a Cosmere tabletop RPG, which was formerly called the Stormlight tabletop RPG. So this is like D&D for Brandon Sanderson stuff. And I gotta say, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah. So he had previously announced that he was doing a tabletop RPG. And when they did the miniature Kickstarters last year, I think around this time, they had announced that some of these miniatures would be relevant, or all of them would be relevant for the upcoming Stormlight tabletop RPG. So we knew that at least he was planning to do that. It was announced, it was surprised, this was the big surprise, that it wasn't just Stormlight. So Stormlight is one of his series of books. A lot of his books are connected in a world called the Cosmere. So literally it is different planets within essentially a solar system. So that is, and it's kind of the Cosmere solar system, but it's not, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. It's the Cosmere universe. It's the Cosmere cinematic universe, whatever. Not a cinematic universe yet, but yeah, no, he announced this and I got a flurry of emails. Every Kickstarter campaign that he's ever had put out an update that says this is now live. And then I'm also on his newsletter, which also came through, and whatever. He put out a bunch of YouTube videos. I really like his stuff. I really like his books. I'm rereading the Stormlight series because the 5th book of the Stormlight series comes out this November. And so I'm rereading book 1, 2. I've already reread book 1 and 2. I am rereading book 3. And I will reread book 4 before November. With all that being said, and I've also read every other book in the Cosmere universe. I've read almost every book that he's ever written. With all that being said, I am so surprised to say that I think you are more interested in this than I am.
Yeah, and I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand how this has happened. Like, this is a very strange dynamic for us. But I looked at the Kickstarter. I watched a couple of little videos. I watched one of his videos, but a couple of other videos, and I've always been a little bit curious about D&D. I've played it once. I played one-shot campaign once, and it was fun. But that was with somebody who was an experienced dungeon master and who, created a really cool thing. And I listened to Total Party Kill, which is a podcast from The Incomparable about people that play D&D. So like they have one dungeon master who's really good. Like he's really entertaining, and the people are all podcast hosts, so they're all entertaining, people that know how to speak on a mic, and they play really well. Like, and they're all, it's kind of the same cast of characters, but they rotate out a little bit, and that's kind of cool. And it just sounds like a fun time. Right. So it's like, I want to try a tabletop RPG, and this one, because I've read all these books, like, I've read, I don't know, 4,000 pages of backstory about this stuff. I feel like I have a better chance at understanding some of the stuff. It's compared to like D&D, where, I mean, sure, it's kind of generic fantasy stuff, but like D&D does have its own kind of little tropes and things. And I'm just curious about how it goes, and how, like, I've never looked at a Dungeon Master guide. Like, I didn't know like anything about it, but they've put out some beta stuff for this thing. Like, they put out some like just sample content essentially, and I've looked at some of it, and it looks cool. Like they're like, yeah, tabletop RPGs is like a collaborative storytelling setting between the all the players and the Dungeon Master or the Game Master, and I'm like, that sounds cool. So I don't know, I'm kind of intrigued here.
That is the part I struggle with, the collaborative storytelling, because, and I've said this multiple times about video games, I don't play video games to role play as someone else. I play them to experience someone else's story. I think that's true about Mass Effect. Like when I'm playing Mass Effect, I don't think that I'm Commander Shepard. I feel like I am seeing, experiencing, learning, controlling, but ultimately experiencing his story. I don't ever try to make it my character. That is what I struggle with tabletop RPGs, and that's what makes me shy away. But some of the things that you just said are resonating with me, particularly the parts where, like in D&D, right, very generic storytelling, there's cantrips and level 1 spells and level 2 spells, and there's rules around those spells, and there's rules around all of that. But the thing that's resonating with me that you said is that you're right. I've already read 4,000 pages of backstory. I understand inherently, because I've read the books, how Stormlight works, how Breaths works from Warbreaker, how the Elantris Aeons work, right? Like how that like magic foundational rule set, I already know because I've read the books. And now that you're saying this, I'm just like, man, would I like this more from a mechanical level because I have all that backstory. What I would still struggle with is that collaborative storytelling, because when I play a game, I want to say, this is what I'm doing, right? And I have played Dungeons and Dragons before with a group, and it was never put on me because I think the group of people I knew, the group of people that I was playing with, knew I didn't care for this side of it. But I remember someone else, we were attacking this thing as a group, and someone else kind of got the killing blow. And the Dungeon Master said, well, that's going to be a killing blow. How do you kill it?
Oh.
And then the player had to make up a story, right? And I think, again, like, I think they both knew that they were collaboratively storytelling this thing together, and they were better at it. But if that ever came to me, I'd be like, I don't want to tell that story. Like, that's not why I'm playing this game. And I feel like that would be such a downer, or like I would try to tell something and it would not be interesting. I am not an imaginative, creative storytelling. I like to tell stories and experiences that I've experienced or that I've seen, or to relay something that I've seen or experienced. I am not a make it up on the go kind of guy. And I that makes me very nervous for a tabletop RPG.
I completely feel that. Like, I agree. I get it. I am the same way, which is why, because I'm like, oh, I could be the DM. Like, I could run this campaign, and like Jason could play, and like we could get some other friends and play, and like that would be fun. But then I'm like, oh no, then I have to set the narrative context for all of this stuff that people are going to want to do. And I've never done that before, and I don't consider myself either like a very good, like, you jump up and down and do a cartwheel with your sword and then drive it up through the skull of the creature. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm with you, right? And so I worry that it would be a diminished experience for everyone playing if I wouldn't be as flowery, with some of that stuff, because it requires a quite a bit of imagination, right? You got to kind of keep the whole thing in your head a little bit. But I also think, like, in places where you want to do that, like if you're doing maybe not combat, but like if you're doing, you know, some kind of puzzle or you know, stealth or something like that, and you can kind of embellish a little bit as you're saying what you're doing. You can be like, I sneak up behind the guy really quiet and crouch down comedically behind a barrel because, you know, whatever. Like you can get into some of those details if you want to, or you can just be very mechanical about it and say like, I use my sneak skill and I sneak behind him. Like, and I think that as long as your group is kind of into that, you know, like I think
on the same level.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually, so like I was reading one of the rules books or whatever, you know, one of the sample things that they published, which are like, you know, 60 pages worth of how to play this game. It says something about like, you know, you want the group to kind of agree on all of their what they want. Like, what are things that are going to be off limits topic wise? Like, are there certain things that you don't want to you know, delve into because of players' life experiences or whatever, right? You know, say like, oh, I don't want to talk about, you know, alcohol or something because my, you know, relative was an alcoholic or something. And so we have to kind of not talk about that in this. And you can set those ground rules before you start the play, like before you start the game. And I think that would be the kind of thing that if you had a group, you'd be like, okay, we're not going to take this super, super seriously. We're going to, you know, do this and get through the story scenarios and get through the character choices and things like that together. But maybe it's not as, maybe the expectation, the bar is lowered a little bit to the, you know, and maybe you grow into it. I don't know. Maybe that is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Really, yeah. It's just I would have a much more mechanical experience, and as long as everyone around me was okay, was either also there or just understood that like when I did something, someone else could make it up as long as I rolled the dice and mechanically it happened the way that it, you know, the rules said it happened. You can tell it however you want. I would have to find a group that was okay with that, and it sounds like you know, that's possible.
I think it is. And I think it's flexible too. It's like you could sometimes be, you know, if, like I said, if you care, you could be a little bit more, you know, flowery with it. And if you don't care, you just be like, I roll a natural 20 and I kill him. I mean, whatever.
I have made a commitment on this that if you buy it, I'm buying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If, so you have that going for you, you know, you have at least a second on it. We have, I think, 26 more days for the Kickstarter.
I think it's like 18 or something.
Oh, it's less? Okay. So we have to make a decision here soon. I mean, obviously, we can still make a decision after the fact, but if I'm going to do this, I'm going to want to be part of the Kickstarter. I will tell you, I did buy the highest level of miniatures in last year's Kickstarter. So I have all of them. I have every miniature they released, every statue they released. And I also have all of the STLs to 3D print everything that they released. So
holy cow. Okay.
I don't know if that changes your opinion at all. I haven't painted any of them, but I did buy the paint set.
Oh my.
So I've got it all. Like I'm ready to play from a miniatures, like actual like character standpoint. But I'd be really interested. I liked playing D&D a little bit when I played with my friends. We did. I think we played the wrong version. We played 3rd edition, which I think is way more rules heavy and not honestly quite as fun. So I would be interested in playing again as long as I was going in with the right expectations.
Yeah, I think we may have to ask some friends here and see if we can get a little group. I mean, I don't think we need a lot of people. I think we need about like you and me
4.
and 2 to 3 other people. Like,
yeah,
that's it. So it feels like that should be doable. And I feel like for just logistical reasons, we'd probably end up playing online.
Yeah, I agree.
But I also kind of want all of the physical stuff, but I don't know why, because I'm probably never going to play it on a table.
Well, they have really cool tools now that like you can draw the map on, and you can like DM, like we did this a while ago, DM tools where you can reveal certain parts of the map digitally on the screen. And a lot of them have kind of like, I don't know, like you could put your camera down on your table in front of you. And I don't know. I think we could pull it off pretty well remotely, even with stuff on roll your dice in front of you. So it's still a physical dice. Like, I think we could pull it off remotely and still have a good time. And then maybe, for the last one, we all fly and meet together.
Oh, that would be so cool. So, yeah. Oh my gosh. So for the duration of the Kickstarter, they have released all of this stuff, and they've got partnerships with like Roll20 and some of those online platforms. And they have a sample single one-shot campaign like thing that you could do. I'm kind of wondering if we should try to pull something together, like, because it's free.
I'm down.
All right, we'll have to give this some thought and maybe talk offline. But this could be, maybe this turns into a tabletop RPG podcast. Who knows?
Did you know that Roll20 has dynamic lighting that lights up line of sight lighting as you move?
I did. Yes, if you pay for their higher tier or whatever.
Did you know how you can get API access?
No, I didn't.
You could API the entire game.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Sorry. All right. Yeah, we should do this. If you're hearing this and you want to play this, send us a message.
Yes, please.